Hi guys, just back from coaching again. Just wanted to talk about something now while I have yous, and I'm feeling motivated. Just wanted to talk about why we feel the need to be perfect. Like, did you ever get, sorry, just turn on that light. Did you ever get really nostalgic and then you start thinking yourself and you picture yourself with the ideal wife and the ideal life? Happy wife, happy life, as they say. But you think to yourself, oh yeah, this is the dream life and whatever. But rarely do we appreciate the feeling of being content. That's something I feel like we need to appreciate a hell of a lot more. We don't have to be the richest fucker on the planet. We don't have to be super successful. Do you ever look at someone and you be quite judgmental towards them, but they're perfectly happy doing what they're doing? And I just kind of think, well, yeah, if I could be like that and be content and happy in my life, like there are plenty of guys going around who they'd have their coach and they'd play a bit of sport, they'd have a small friend group, do their job, and that was kind of it, but they were happy doing that. And I kind of think that's something we need to appreciate a hell of a lot more. People might even go, what a sad existence. Tell me what a happy existence is. Like, we seem to be basing everything off an idea that the world is perfect, and it fucking isn't. Most people in the world nowadays are sick, they've got the wrong idea. Heart disease is going up through the roof, cancer is going through the roof, strokes are going up through the roof. Like, clearly something is going tits up. Like, all these jobs where it talks about maximising productivity and all this stuff, from what I can see, everyone is fucking up. People have less skills now than they ever had before. People are not as creative or inventive. Our interests are absolute bollocks, Like, I don't give a fuck who wouldn't love Ireland or whatever. I want to have a real conversation with you. Like, I said something like, it was a funny joke or whatever. Like, say, someone made a joke about a banana, and I went, oh, that's a euphemism. That sounds like a euphemism for something, as in like a phallical symbol, shall we say. And thinking that that'd be funny. But then I kind of thought in the back of my head, and I was fucking right to think it, will they even know what euphemism means? And of course they didn't. Like, it's so annoying having conversations with people nowadays because they can't speak fucking English or anything really. Like, it's just a lack of actual emotional intelligence or anything. I thought I was fucking immature or childish, but at least I can have a conversation with people about stuff. Like, I just feel everything is so superficial. The world is sick, it really is. I don't mean sick, fam. I mean, the world is fucking messed up. Like, stop trying to be perfect for an imperfect world. Do you like that one? I came up with it all by myself. But, if you're listening to a majority of people are mentally ill. Like, I hear of all these conditions like borderline personality disorder, and they think of narcissistic personality disorder, and I just go, you could diagnose half the world with that. It's just something to put people into brackets so we can label them and get them hooked on medication. I really don't know, but it seems to be. Like, if you think of borderline personality disorder, how many people are so quick to emotional reactions? You say one thing they don't agree with and they bite your head off and start having a hissy fit over it. And not everyone with borderline personality disorder, well, for one, even has it because it's misdiagnosed in so many people. All these diagnoses, they always seem to be misdiagnosed. And if you look at my mate Stephen, who was on the channel, great guy, Super Statics' band, check them out if you haven't already. I went to see them in Fibber McGee's, great fella. He was misdiagnosed with schizophrenia. Now, that's a pretty fucking significant thing to misdiagnose someone with. But turns out they felt he was more borderline personality disorder after he stopped taking psychoactive drugs. Marshall Linehan, who came up with dialectical behavioural therapy, was diagnosed with schizophrenia. Like, schizophrenia, my heart goes out to anyone who's genuinely suffering with that condition, or any mental health condition, but schizophrenia, I think we're all like, they are suffering, their brain is working against them big time. They're hearing things that aren't there, they're seeing things that aren't there. It sounds like absolute hell, and God love anyone going through it, but a lot of these conditions are ways of coping with a world that is far too stressful. And if you look at family history, which you've got to fucking do, and doctors never do it, you'll see a lot of trauma. Very rare you're going to get someone with schizophrenia whose home life is absolutely perfect. And I'm no doctor, I keep saying that, I stipulate that all the time, but I'm not saying you don't have to give people medication for some conditions, because if they're a danger to themselves, you feel like they might commit suicide or homicide, yeah, sure, by all means, like, you need to do whatever you've got to do to keep the poor person alive. But medication should not be a go-to. Like, Seroquel has been linked now with Parkinson's disease. You know, there's been, like, Robin Williams was on medication that they believed caused Lewy body's disease. So, it's a type of dementia, if I'm not mistaken. They originally thought it was Parkinson's disease. But, like, we just medicate people. How about we look at the world? The world around us is not very well, is it? I appreciate so much now that I used to just take for granted, you know? Like, I remember before in school going for walks to Dunleary or whatever, but just being so uncomfortable in the world around me. And until I actually worked on myself and the environment, I felt shitty everywhere, you know? It didn't matter where I fucking was, I felt bad. I couldn't appreciate anything, and now I can because I worked on it without fucking medication. Medication just numbs everything. Oh, it just does my head in, you know, think of how many people are missing out on their lives because people that are supposed to care for them don't give a shit. And I mean, this is a controversial topic now, the next thing I'm going to talk about, but look at anybody hear about the Lucy Letby case? Now, I mean, there's nothing finalised yet, but apparently she's getting a retrial because certain evidence was misrepresented. And there was a Canadian physician who was brought before the defence. Sorry, he gave a testimony for the prosecution, and they misrepresented what he said, and he actually corrected them and said, no, that's not what I meant at all by what I said. You've taken my words the wrong way completely to suit your narrative, you know, to make Lucy Letby look guilty. Now, if that's true and she hasn't done anything wrong, then fucking shame on the NHS, who aren't looking too hot at the minute anyway. You know, everybody sings the praises of the NHS, but I've heard a lot of bad things about them recently, and I always thought that in the UK, you know, they're great because nobody ever says anything negative about the NHS, but it's all coming out at once now, you know. It's like what the Catholic Church was to Ireland, you know, and that's why nobody would ever believe that they do anything so evil, because they were such a sacred organisation. But guess what? Sacred organisations are full of evil people. And that's something else. Like, here's a fucking big long rant, but I just feel like we put way too much trust and, you know, belief in people based on the positions of power that they're in. Like, take for instance, if you know someone's a firefighter, a nurse, a doctor, well, used to be a priest, now we know better, don't we? But we assume those people are caring people, but not always. We give these people such high authority, and we take their word over everybody else's. And we shouldn't. We should question everybody. You know, there's a lot of people who work in care homes, like, with very vulnerable people, and they're horrible cunts. They treat people terribly. They're the most evil fuckers I've ever seen. But guess what? They're in positions of authority and positions of power, and they're dealing with people who no one's going to believe. So they have the final say, and it's fucking disgusting. Like, the abuses that go on in care homes for the elderly, for the mentally ill. I haven't heard of anyone who's been in a psychiatric ward or, you know, mental institution that wasn't mistreated in some way or neglected or ignored or belittled even. It's fucking sick. And the amount of times I think that I could have been institutionalised, and I'm so glad I managed to talk my way out of it. God knows that I probably should have been, but thank fuck I wasn't, because they sound horrific. Sounds like there's so many evil cunts in those areas. So I want to encourage people to stand up on their own 2 feet, you know. And people will say, oh, I'm talking shite, people need medication, they need this. I'm not telling you to go and stop your medications all at once right now. What I'm saying to you is, don't take everyone's word for gospel. You know, how about we look at, well, do you have a reason to be sad, to be in a shitty state of mind? Of course, most people do. There's a reason, always. You might be more sensitive to things. You know, comparison is the thief of all joy, as they say. But just because you're more sensitive to stuff does not mean you're wrong for feeling a certain way. Something might upset you that somebody else could shrug off. You know, that doesn't mean that you're wrong for feeling the way you do. There's nothing worse than having your feelings invalidated. Having your feelings invalidated is one of the worst feelings you can ever experience, and it's especially bad as a child. I remember feeling terrible, you know, and crying because I thought I'm soft, I'm weak because I'm feeling these things. Personally, I believe that autistic people and neurodivergent people are not mentally ill. I feel like we're just way more sensitive to the pain and suffering of the world. You know, and I mean that genuinely. That's not a bunch of cringy lip service, which I hear a lot of, believe me. I genuinely believe that we're not able to bullshit and pretend things are hunky-dory when they're not, in the same way neurotypical people can. You know, neurotypical people can put a smile on their face and pretend everything's alright. We can't. You know, neurodivergent people see the world as it really is. And I have to tell you, it's not a very fucking pleasant place. It's a very messed up place. Full of a lot of evil people. And, you know the saying, ignorance is bliss. And Tommy Tiernan goes, your best friends are the thickest fuckers you know. But I remember meeting guys who were thick as pig shit, and I envied them. I thought to myself, why couldn't I be as thick as this fella? Because then I'd be so oblivious to all the pain and suffering in the world. You know, and I'm not saying I'm fucking Stephen Hawking or some genius. Well, Stephen Hawking's dead, so thank fuck I'm not. Jeez, that's a terrible one, isn't it? But like, we can't, you know, I can't ignore it. I see the pain and suffering in the world. I mean, you know, people say autistic people have no empathy. I have a fucking overload of empathy. You know, I can't control it. I feel bad for everyone, everywhere, all the fucking time. But you have to realise you can't fix everyone else's problems, unfortunately. You know, I wish I could. I really do, but I can't. Now I'm more selfish, but in a good way. It's like, if you deserve my help, I will give it to you. You know, if you are genuine and you're a nice person, I will help you to the nth degree. You know, but I will not be taken for a fucking ride anymore, and I have been, you know, and I've made a video about that, talking about the more you give, the more people will take, and that includes family members, unfortunately. Like, I go to my training now, I come home, I rest, you know, I go for a walk with the dog, he's in the back there with me, ain't she, little beaut? Yeah, he's there with me now. What's wrong with that? You know, I go for my swims, I'm not out every weekend getting shit-faced, and I feel 10 times better for it. Fucking 150 times better. There's a bigger figure, you know. I'm going out this weekend, but, you know, it's a restaurant that we're going to, and I'm going with a few mates. Well, it should be fun, you know, but I don't do it that often, and I'm going out the week after. Mr. Popular over here. Isn't that gas? It's like, I wish I had friends and people to invite me out. Then you get friends and you're invited out every single weekend, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, you know, I need to stop drinking and I need to cut back on the booze, and then everyone invites you. You don't have to chase people up anymore. It's gas. But no, guys, let me know your comments, and people who watch this channel. I know I'm sounding like a broken record here with everybody else. I know you're probably sick of hearing it from other YouTubers, but if you do like the content, hit that subscribe button down below. Like the video, you know, boost the algorithm, leave a comment, you know, all that stuff. I'm buzzing because I've just gotten to 300 subscribers, and thank you to everyone, you know. And this thing hasn't even been going a year, it's been going over half a year now. Has it even? I'm just thinking now. Jeez, no, it hasn't. That's actually gas. So, like, I started this in late September, right? So we'll say basically October, November, December, January, February. Not even half a year. 300 subscribers ain't bad, huh? And thank you so much to all you guys who have. I find a lot of people reaching out, which is great. I love all you guys. You really boost my mood. So much so that I can just go, fuck the negative people, you know, the pricks who want to make negative comments on this channel. I don't need that shit. And you guys make me realise that there are good people out there, so I can't thank you enough, you know, and I've given special mentions. It's the same guys, but Greg Belt, Irish Celt. Then obviously we've got our boy Shawnee. I'm sorry I let you down with those predictions in the rugby. But to be fair, in my defence, nobody saw that coming, right? I thought Scotland were going to give a good game, and they did, but I didn't think England were going to be so bad. Didn't think Ireland were going to be so bad. I'm wearing my Ireland jersey. Yeah, lovely top, isn't it? It's really good. Love this colour. Swear I'm not advertising or modelling it. But the French game, at least, I got somewhat correct. Gonna have to up my game at my predictions. Oh, sorry guys. Oh, the light is out. But we shall persevere. Bastard. Anyway, yeah, fuck it, we'll carry on. There's enough light. But the world is sick, you know. It's not as if everything is hunky-dory, and having you guys kind of helped me realise that, you know, like I broke myself down so much and I've talked about it a lot, but it's true, you know. I didn't know where the fuck I was going. I did what everybody told me to do. I listened to advice from everybody, and, you know, in particular, like, I think people are very good at, you know, judging people, and obviously young women get judged a lot, but I can't speak personally to that because I'm not a young woman, in case you couldn't tell. All the facial hair didn't give it away, I hope. But, you know, like, oh, get yourself a trade, get yourself a job, and, you know, you'll be happy. Went into that line of work, and guess what? Every man that I respected in there, that I thought is a good guy, told me, oh, you have a chance to go to college, because I was telling them, you know, I'm going to an open day in IT Tala, and they were like, oh, fucking go to college, don't waste your life doing this shit. I was like, alright, fair enough. Why wouldn't I take their advice? They're actually doing all the back-breaking labour. You know, you get people all the time that don't do construction work telling you how to go into it, and if the opportunity presents itself, we got there, you know, and you think it's something you want to do, fair enough, go for it. Like, if a family member's doing it and they ease you into it, I feel like you need a trainer, you need a teacher, you know, someone you can look up to. Like, my mate became an electrician, Dennis, and I'm hoping to get him on this channel. We have a chat because he moved over to Spain. I'd love to get his thoughts about the differences in culture, you know, between Ireland and Spain, España. I'd also, there's four of us, like four mates, but three of us are autistic. He's ginger, so there we go. It's actually gas because he doesn't look, you wouldn't think he looks Hispanic, and yet he looks like Alberto Moreno, and remember the left back for Liverpool, and Villarreal, and a bit like Canelo, Canelo Alvarez. I'd love to get him on and talk about it, but his cousin got him into being an electrician. That was the point I was going to make, and then, you know, other people I know, they went into trades because their dads or their uncles or cousins were doing it, and they were like, oh yeah, any chance you can get in with your crowd? Oh yeah, no bother. And then it's like, he's in that way. I just kind of feel like my dad was kind of dumped me off with some fella who didn't give me any hope that I was going to get any sort of qualification from it. So I thought better off going to college. My mum really wanted me to go to college, so to kind of make her happy as well, but I'm glad I did, you know. As you say, a bunch of good-looking young ones versus a big fat old fella screaming at you over hoovering too fast, and then, you know, hoovering too slow on an active construction site, mixing cement, digging holes, doing all the donkey work for everyone. I do think there's value in doing that, FYI. I definitely do. I think there's so many people who are too soft and, you know, complain and think that they're owed a living. You know, like, me and my brother have done some god-awful jobs. Like, you know, some people thought were god-awful. I didn't mind. Like, as I say, kitchen porter, thought it was fine. I worked in kitchens, did all the food prep for a chipper. That's a fish and chip shop, if you're English. Chipper. And our chippers are better than yours, I'm sorry, but they are. The Italians know how to cook the chips correctly. They don't reheat them either. They cook them in pig fat, big blocks of lard. Oh, so good. You can tell I probably love them a bit too much.